I'm sure we'll just end up talking about this shit anyway, you know?
Yeah. So to keep up with tradition, hey, you guys are being recorded.
Sweet.
We should have.
Nice.
We technically. I feel like we should have been recording like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. It's been a very kind of productive 24 hours for the Smark Avengers. Mainly, I logged into our YouTube account and found 2 whole episodes that I thought were lost that are now posted on the YouTube page. So, the first one in chronological order is the episode where we kill Aquaman. So, all of those references to Magic Water Hand that we've been making, they will now make sense if you've watched that first.
Is it too late to change the name of the podcast to Magic Water Hand?
No, I mean we can rebrand, you know. The other episode was a watch along that we did where we watched the first 2 episodes of Japanese Spider-Man, which, you know, not to toot my own horn or anything, but beep beep. Because I did watch it without watching Japanese Spider-Man along with it, and I think we were pretty fucking funny.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good when we're funny.
Yeah. So we've got a couple episodes that are finished now. The next episode is scheduled already in YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube page, you'll see that there's a thumbnail that says premiere. So that's going to come out on March 1st, and we're going to start having some episodes on YouTube come out automatically. So that'll keep me from forgetting to, you know, publish them. So we don't run into that problem again where I just think the episodes are gone forever. In reality, they've just been sitting out there.
When you say go to our YouTube and click on the thing and it says March 1st for premiere, by the time this episode goes out, that will already be over. Yeah.
So, it's already passed.
Just go to our YouTube page anyway. It's really fun.
Yeah, go to our YouTube page and watch the other videos.
Leave a comment. Talk about how great we are.
Yeah.
You know? Interact.
That's now, are we bad at promoting ourselves?
Absolutely. We could just stop that. Are we bad?
Yeah, we don't have like a Twitter account or an Instagram, or I don't have a Twitter account and my Instagram's private. So if I were to promote it, it wouldn't fucking go anywhere.
If you see a Twitter page that is the Smark Avengers, that's just somebody pretending to be us and trying to steal our clout, you know, our good name, unless they're being nice about us, in which case continue.
Yeah, please do the hard work for us, the networking,
because we're not going to do it.
No, we're not great at it. I might end up having to do it, but that would mean getting back on Twitter, and I've not been on Twitter in like 3-ish years now.
Yeah, I don't miss it, man.
No.
I don't miss it.
But the engagement we might need if we want more people to actually listen to this.
Well, we could do an experiment where we go on Twitter and see if it makes a difference, because I don't think it will. I think probably. On Twitter, they have other shit to yell about.
Yeah.
You know, they're busy.
I don't know. We could start making hot takes. That's what people do on YouTube when they want people to interact with them.
Yeah, but you would have to do a hot take about something like
we have to be just honest, because I feel like our hot takes aren't very hot. I feel like our hot takes are actually quite kind of like room temperature.
Right. You couldn't be like hot take. You could kill Aquaman if you just buried him in cement. People would be like, all right.
Your method was pour cement down his lungs.
Right? Okay, I've forgotten, but I'm glad that I'm still on the right track. It was cement based.
You are. That. Cement was involved. And John's was to pull a Bugs Bunny and seduce and marry Lex Luthor.
Oh yeah.
John forgot about his husband already.
If you're on our YouTube page, vote for which one you think is the most effective way of killing Aquaman. It's very important. So, just write it. Go to one of our pages or one of our videos and just say cement or marriage, and we'll understand what that means.
Yeah, we make it one word. It'll be the easiest way for you to interact.
You know what? Go to somebody else's YouTube page.
Yeah.
And just write either cement or marriage.
Yeah, let
us know.
Go to Mr. Beast's YouTube page. I don't know who he is
or
what
Paul's
he does.
videos, yeah.
Yeah, go to Markiplier. He has a lot of people that watch him.
Just write cement.
Yeah. Go to all of Markiplier's videos and put cement or marriage.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway. So that's the
that might be the
promotional
best
aspect
start
of
we've
this.
had yet, I think. Anyway.
So anyway, we're gonna be kind of we're gonna be continuing on a tradition that we started about a year ago, where we began. Actually, I do think it's been officially a year, maybe a little over. Where our very first episode, we decided that we were going to focus on one of the original 5 X-Men and then kind of branch out and do the rest. So the very first one we did was Beast, which we might end up doing a follow-up on in about a month or so, depending on a storyline that's currently in progress for X-Force. Then we followed up and did Angel. And so we have 3 original X-Men left. And I think we have picked the most boring one to talk about. Because we're going to talk about Iceman, Bobby Drake.
I mean, we had to talk about him at some point. So.
Yeah.
I was
We
hoping
went
for
on
Iceman,
this.
Val Kilmer.
Oh, shit. Yeah. We'll talk about Top Gun instead. What that volleyball scene, guys?
I haven't seen Top Gun.
What?
You've not seen Top Gun?
Yeah.
Dylan.
Nope. Nope.
Highway to the Danger Zone.
But I don't have to. I get all the bits. I know all the references. And I haven't even seen it. See, I don't have to see it now. You know.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, good for you.
See.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, like I said, we were going to start going through the original X-Men. We kind of had to. I feel like we did an okay job, kind of sandwiching him, because I feel like Beast. There's a lot to talk about because of the very morally gray, slowly leaning towards the black until he's completely black at this point.
Yeah.
Then we went with Angel, where we kind of talked about how he's only got really one major storyline, and they keep going back to it.
Well, don't you think it's funny, real quick? Don't you think it's funny that in the Angel storylines, the whole storyline was him morally going towards the black, and then they just fucked that storyline up so much, and then with Beast they did it in one fell swoop. And they're like, here it is. You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't they have done that with Angel? Surely that's what they were going for with Angel, with the whole Archangel thing, him turning to the dark side, and then they just out of nowhere they're like, it's not gonna work with Angel. Fuck it, let's do a Beast. They've done it with all of them, right?
Kinda. So I mean, they were like Beast. They kind of left as morally gray for a while, and so they've just gone outright villain with him. They did that with Archangel too, because that's where we were talking about like what was it? Some sort of seed that gave him even more powers. Because that was another thing we talked about, was how it seemed that what can we do with Angel? We'll just give him more powers. So like, he had like a halo at some point, and his blood could heal people and all sorts of weird shit. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Robert Louis Drake, who was one of the original 5 X-Men, debuted in the X-Men issue number 1 in September of 1963, created by the great Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. Yeah, Iceman, I think, technically is the second ever X-Men. His backstory is he was on a date with a girl, and a guy tried to hit on the girl, and Iceman and him got into a scuffle, and he ended up freezing him in a block of ice. And everybody...
well, that's not fair.
No, froze him in a block of ice, and that's how his powers manifested for the first time. And so the local police put him in a prison cell for his own protection, and then Cyclops basically knocked the wall down with his optic blast, and they got into a fight, and Xavier talked to him and said, "You should come to my special school. I'll talk to your parents." Well, yeah, I know that I sent my only other student to abduct you from prison, but you should come to my school.
Yeah, he's like, boy, you guys got in a lot of trouble. Why don't you come to my school? It's just you guys and me all alone in the big school. You know, you big rough boys. Come back to my place, you know. So it's a real shitty business. But you look back at it now with hindsight.
Yeah.
Real problems. Back in the 60s, I suppose that's what everybody did.
And to be
Yeah.
fair, you kind of wonder with Xavier's powers, is he like mind controlling the parents to be okay with this as well? Like he's
Ooh,
basically kidnapping the kids.
that's a
Didn't they
really
do
good point.
that with Jean Grey? Wasn't that like a thing they did with Jean Grey? Where it was
Quite
implied that
possibly.
Xavier like manipulated her or her parents into coming to the school?
I mean, let's face it, it's the kind of thing Charles Xavier would do.
Yeah, he's a real suspicious character.
He's dubious.
He is
At
dubious.
best.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Oh,
If we're doing an episode about all of the X-Men, we're gonna have to do one about Charles Xavier at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not one of the original 5, but he is their leader.
Exactly, but he's part of the X-Men from the get-go.
You know, we're going to end up talking. This is to me a testament to how interesting Iceman is a character. We've
We are
talked more
doing our
about
best.
Beast, Angel,
Yeah.
and Xavier than we have Ice.
We are doing our best to not talk about Iceman.
Yeah, no, and I will read through a list of accolades Iceman has, and it will just further confuse and irritate me. So, are you familiar with the Doom Patrol?
With the what
Not
patrol?
really.
The Doom Patrol.
Oh yes, I watched the TV show from a couple of years ago.
So it's like kind of implied that Dr. Niles Calder is the Xavier of the Doom Patrol, and not just because he's in a wheelchair, but like he was portrayed, especially in Grant Morrison's run, as incredibly manipulative, and he kind of was in that Beast area of like, I think it's implied that he was kind of the cause of a lot of the freak accidents that made the Doom Patrol. Like, I guess that's why. So the Doom Patrol has like always been equivalent to the X-Men. They never ever had anywhere near the same level of popularity, but like the Doom Patrol were a team of freaks. Like they were all of these characters that were in these freak accidents that left them with powers that were kind of as debilitating as they were helpful. And they fought like the weirdest fucking villains. So it does feel like they were the equivalent of the X-Men mutants characters. But like the real difference is like, and we'll talk about, I'm sure this came up in another episode, something that we've done in the past, because it feels like it's way too common of a criticism. The X-Men have always confused me in the sense of like hated and feared in a world that doesn't understand them. But like people are fucking cool with Spider-Man, and like they're cool with like other superheroes. Where it's like, what makes them any different? Like, oh, these people are just born with their powers. They weren't bitten by a radioactive whatever that gave them their abilities. So like, it just feels weird that like people are cool with the Avengers, but you know, the X-Men, fuck them.
Well, I think that's they have touched upon that in Spider-Man, where like, you know, not everybody likes Spider-Man, and there was a long period of time when not everybody liked Spider-Man, and part of that was like the propaganda thing with the
J. Jonah
Daily
Jameson.
Bugle. Yeah, exactly. And so that also played into the X-Men as well. Like it was the reason that everybody didn't like them wasn't just because they were freaks, although that was part of it. Like there was also like a government thing and a media thing about around that whole thing that it kept the fear of the people up against the mutants. Like that was part of it. I always thought, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like the introduction of the Sentinels and stuff like that, and mutant registration and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, although I do agree that like you see like the fucking Hulk or whatever, but even then people were afraid of the Hulk, like because that was part of him as well. Like people were like, this guy's fucking indestructible and unbeatable. Like, what do we stay away from him? Like we're fucked if he comes to our town, you know. And then Captain America is just some fucking guy. Iron Man's just some fucking guy, you know. So like it's you know, it's tricky, but I think there's definitely differences between the public reception to Tony Stark and the public reception to Spider-Man, you know.
Sure. I just, like I said, it just was always kind of confusing me because there's like nothing really, for the most part, and this is kind of why I liked the Grant Morrison run with X-Men, is that Grant actually would make mutants who had weird powers or things that would make them unpleasant to look at. Like Beak, who just like he's got like he's basically like a bird, but he can't fly. So he just looks like a weird, freaky, feathered beaked dude. Or like No Girl, who's just a sentient brain, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot
So
of
I feel like that
weird
was
characters like that, which I fucking love because because that's it. Like it shows the whole spectrum of being a mutant. Isn't it a coincidence that all the mutants that were born before that had like powers you could use in a fight?
they were
Like
and they were drop dead gorgeous.
But like where are the freaks, right? Where are the weird mutants? Wouldn't there be some, you know?
Yeah. Glob Herman.
Yeah, like a fucking guy made out of gas and they just put him in a containment suit. Like, what does that even mean? That doesn't make any sense. But there it is.
So that actually does come. I can make that come back to Iceman, oddly enough. So Iceman's abilities is that he can control ice, as the name would suggest, like cold and manipulating water into freezing and whatnot. His very first appearance, his ice form looked more like snow. So he was just this like snow-covered silhouette wearing boots.
Mm-hmm.
That look did not stay. He did take on like the more armored ice kind of crystal looking form. And a recurring thing for the character seems to be his identity crisis with like his powers. And another fun thing they decided to do with his parents is they made his parents bigots. So like Iceman's mom and dad kind of hated him for being a mutant. So that's fun. But yeah, like Iceman just never really got too many major storylines, and a lot of the storylines revolved around his love life, which like they first mentioned like Lorna Dane, who was Polaris, and he had a thing with Polaris, and that didn't work, and he quit being in the X-Men after the stuff that happened in Krakoa. They gave us the all new, all different X-Men of like, you know, Wolverine, Colossus, and stuff. And then he became an accountant. That's exciting.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. Iceman became an accountant. He had to go to school.
Didn't have to.
Yeah, he became Drake retires from life as a superhero to earn a college degree in accounting. That's a line from his Wikipedia page. This is during the time that he was a member of the Champions and the Defenders. So he leaves the X-Men and they put him on the Champions, which I think he was on with Angel, and they put him on the Defenders where he was on with Beast.
So and he had like so much going on with both teams that he had time to go back to college and become an accountant.
Yep.
Well, I don't think it was at the same time. I think the Champions was first, and then that didn't really last very long. And then
the Champions was a weird fucking team.
Yeah.
Wasn't that? That was the team that it was like Black Widow, Hercules, Ghost Rider, Angel, and Iceman, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a lineup right there.
It's a perfect team, right?
And then
we would have all picked that team if we were like, make your best superhero team. Like it's definitely this one.
You know, I was always surprised they brought back the Champions name, and they gave it to like a bunch of like the younger characters in Marvel, like Miss Marvel and like when Cyclops, like the Cyclops from the past, that got brought into the present. He was a member of that group.
Yeah.
Nova, I think Miles Morales was a member.
Yep.
So like
Vision as well.
Yeah. And again, we're finding ourselves talk about more interesting characters than Iceman.
It's gonna happen a lot.
It's a very negative thing, but again, it's gonna be me being negative because I read through his Wikipedia article, and a lot of his storylines do revolve around like the same couple of plot points. He is more powerful than he knows, but he is insecure or afraid to experiment with his powers. So he gradually gets stronger and more powerful due to circumstances beyond his control. Like Emma Frost takes over his mind for a period of time to do some stuff, and she, like in control of his body, makes him do bigger stuff than he's ever done. So that's how he finds out like, oh, I can do more. Then there's a time where I think he gets like blown into pieces for the first time, and he's able to like reconstruct himself
For the first time.
Yeah, it happens a lot to him. He gets blown up
Okay.
a good bit once they figured out that's a thing he can do and survive.
What a coincidence.
There's a point where he's like romantically involved with Mystique, and Mystique
What?
like, yeah, you didn't know that?
What? Why?
So
Who would
in
have
the
done that?
90s, there was an X Factor run. It was after like the Peter David run with like Havoc and stuff, where this was like an X Factor team that was led by Forge, and like some of the characters on the team were like villains that were. It was basically like a Suicide Squad situation where they were like rigged with like an explosive or something that made them compliant to the United States government.
I remember this
So
because
like
Mystique and Sabretooth were on that.
exactly, Mystique and Sabretooth. So it was at that time that he got romantically linked with Mystique, and like she did something to his brain and he was able to touch even more powers.
What?
So like it's like a reoccurring thing with him where he like learns he has more and more powers. So that's one plot point. And then the other plot point is that his parents are bigots. So it's like, oh, I'm reconciling with my parents, but then Sentinels attack and like blow up the house, and now my mom and dad are mad at me because if it wasn't for me being a gosh darn mutant, their house wouldn't have been exploded by a Sentinel,
They're not wrong.
No, technically.
Can you imagine coming home and your whole house has been blown up and you're like, I bet that's our fucking mutant kid again, isn't it?
God damn it, Bobby. Damn it, Bobby.
That's where they got it from.
That's where they got it from. That's where King of the Hill got it from. Damn it, Bobby. So yeah, those are like the two big plot points that people do with him. And then there's, up until the last few years, they would throw in a girlfriend character where it was like people would try to attack him through her and he'd save the day, but then she'd break up with him because like, hey, I'm not cool with like getting attacked because you're a mutant, so this isn't going to work. And that's kind of been it. But the character always gets put on these like X-Men teams all the time. So like, case in point, he was one of the original X-Men, and then he was in the Champions, and then he was in the Defenders, and then he was in
X Factor?
X Factor.
Yep.
The very first X Factor, which was the original X-Men. And then he got put in X-Men again, X-Men Gold under Storm. And then he was in X Factor. And like he just keeps filling out the ranks. And to me, and we talked about this before we started recording, to me, it's a boring power set, and his like reputation of like, oh, he's like the comic relief. Like he's not that fucking funny either. Like I don't know what is he bringing? Like, and that's the thing. When you have a character whose main power is they're an elemental, I feel like you have to give them a strong personality. And I think like the key point that you should point at is the Human Torch and the Fantastic Four. Like there's more to Johnny Storm than just like, being a hothead and like fucking around with the Thing. Like he does have some depth to him. But I think that's the difference between the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, where in the Fantastic Four, he's one of like 4 characters. And in the X-Men, he's on a team with like 12 people. It's the Eternals problem again, of like we have way too many characters. We can't develop we can't develop everyone at the same time.
Right. I think that's a really good point that I kind of want to expand on a little bit. Where you say that Johnny Storm he's one character in a group full of very distinct characters. Like the 4 of them are very distinct people in the Fantastic Four. And then even if you look at the original 5 X-Men, they're all pretty distinct except for Iceman. And personalities aside, right? Let's even like leave the personalities aside to go back to what you were talking about with the storylines and things like that. All of us right now, with no prior research, just off the cuff, could pretty easily come up with at least one major storyline for 4 out of 5 of the original X-Men. Right? Immediately. we can go, well, they did this, and this is really important, this, and this. But for Iceman, there's never been a big, like, he turns into Archangel, or he turns into the Phoenix, or, you know what I mean?
There kind of is, because we're, I feel like we've tiptoed around it long enough. The biggest thing that's happened to Iceman in the last, like, ever was when Brian Michael Bendis wrote the original 5 X-Men coming to the present day. One of the things that he did was teenage Jean Grey probed into teenage Bobby Drake's brain and outed him as being a homosexual. And
which is wrong on, like, a lot of levels.
Yeah, it was a weird choice. And they have addressed it. I think it's in one of the they did address it with, like, I think, like, adult Iceman confronting Jean Grey about it and going, "Hey, that was fucked up." But, like, sometimes in comics, I feel like some writers want to make their mark, and they go about the weirdest way trying to make their mark. Or it comes from a place of, like, good intentions of, like, hey, I want to make sure this group, this marginalized group, has some representation. But, like, it was a really weird way to go about outing Iceman as homosexual. To have, like, a psychic just flat out him like that is fucked up.
Well, that's fucked up. But then also, it's kind of, like, out of nowhere. Like, there's been no prior, like, hint of that. But then also, he by that point, he wouldn't have been the only gay X-Man. There already was representation already with Mystique and with North Star.
Yeah, Mystique, very, very major. So they recently, in Uncanny X-Men, I think it was revealed that she's actually Nightcrawler's father.
Yes, I love that they finally, like, confirmed that.
So his mother is Destiny and his father is Mystique.
Yeah.
And that's just the fun of being a shapeshifter.
That's what Chris Claremont wanted to do, and he wasn't allowed to.
Yes.
And so, like, they actually, like, confirmed it now. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That's
See, that was handled really well.
Yes.
So here's the thing. A lot of Iceman's stories in the past have centered around insecurity with himself, whether it was insecurity about using his powers, like that where we talked about where he kind of discovered that he was a lot more powerful than he thought and he just wasn't pushing himself, or it was his kind of at times self-loathing of being a mutant. If you were to look at the subtext of that as a modern day writer, I think you can make the argument of, all right, well, maybe Bobby Drake's been a closeted gay man his whole life. You can make that argument. And I feel like you're not going to be wrong for making that argument, because at the end of the day, it's subtext and it's kind of open for interpretation in that sense. So I don't fault Brian Michael Bendis for going that route. But here's the thing. I also don't trust Brian Michael Bendis to have done that level of research, considering the man has had history of not caring about continuity before he started writing a character.
Right.
So I will say is, if anything, maybe it was just a happy accident.
I like your use of the word maybe whenever you've already established that the word maybe is not necessary.
Maybe it was a disingenuous maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, Iceman is now an out gay character. He's been given a couple of solo series to explore being an openly gay mutant. The adult Iceman came out because his younger version, like, approached him and was like, "Hey, you're the older version of me. Like, why have you never come out?" And I think Iceman actually replied with, like, he was afraid of being both a mutant and a gay man. Like, that's double hate against him in the world, which I feel like that's a solid argument one can make.
I don't think so. I think that surely it cancels, right? Like, if you're already hated for being mutant, fucking who cares? They already hate you, right? Just
Well,
do whatever you want. You know
I
what
can
mean?
see
In
where
one of-
you're coming from. Yeah.
Yeah, people already hate you. What are you gonna do? Well, I'll just do whatever I want.
but that's the thing is the character is established of having a lot of insecurity, and like he's finally been able to come to terms with the fact that he is a very powerful mutant, and now it's like, oh, I need to come to terms with something else again. I can maybe see that. The thing
Okay.
about that though is one of the storylines they did they did establish in the new series was like he came out to his parents, and his parents, who I that's one of my things of like I there is a major kind of push for characters that are, you know, queer or of a different sexuality or gender to like come out to their parents. And I think that comes from a very good place of like making people aware, like, hey, this is a very difficult thing to do, but you can still do it if you want to. But like, it makes very little sense, in my opinion, for Iceman to want to do that because historically his parents were not cool with him being a fucking mutant. And guess what? They also weren't cool with him being gay. Considering like it's established that he comes from a very Roman Catholic family on top of like everything going on. I think currently in the comics, he's dating Emma Frost's little brother, which if you didn't know Emma Frost had a little brother, then, you know, I think you're one of the other 99% of comic readers out there.
Is it just you and me that knew that?
I think, John, were you aware of, it was named Christian Frost?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
cool.
because
So
we
all three
talked
of
about
us-
this before? I feel like we
I don't
talked about
think
this
so.
before.
I don't think we have.
I think we
No,
have.
I only know because he was in some of the
Marauders.
yeah, that's the one. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, he was in the Marauder series. Yeah, because they
Not
also
in a big
established
role,
that.
but yeah,
He was just
Yeah, he was
there.
there. He was there.
pretty much.
He's just baking muffins for Iceman.
So yeah, like he was that was another kind of thing is they established Kitty Pryde being like, well, first it was Jason Aaron in Wolverine and the X-Men pairing Iceman with Kitty Pryde, and then was it Jerry Duggan writing Marauders?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that seems right. That feels right. Is they're just establishing that they're, you know, they're still really good friends, and I think in the Iceman comics, Kitty is the one who's like kind of pushing him to come out to his parents. But like the Iceman comic series, I don't think lasted very long. Because at the end of the day, it can be for any group, any marginalized group. If the main character is fucking Iceman, I don't know who's reading that. I'm not going to blame that book on low sales because like it's a gay male character. I'm blaming it because the character is fucking Iceman.
Right.
You know?
That's the problem. The problem isn't that people aren't buying it because the character is gay. The problem is people aren't buying it because they don't care about Iceman. And then if you look historically as to why they should care about Iceman, there's nothing. There's no reason for people to care about Iceman, which is bizarre. Like we said, like all the other 5 X-Men, the other 4 have got like a lot of like good, solid, concrete storylines that make them into like legit contenders, like big deals in the comics world. Iceman never did. You know what I mean? If Iceman's only big storyline is by, I guess he's gay, like as a kind of offhanded fucking thing, like that's not a personality trait. That's not a big storyline. That's not a comic book thing. That's just something that happened that doesn't really affect him as a superhero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it has consequences, obviously, in the storylines, but like if you're reading a superhero story, you want to see them fucking be cool and fight stuff. Like we were talking about how Iceman is like conflicted about his crazy amazing powers, but like he doesn't do anything with them, so it doesn't matter if he has omega level mutant powers or not because he doesn't do anything with them, and there's no consequence of him having them. You know what I mean? Nobody ever like uses Iceman's powers against him or uses Iceman's powers for their own benefit, or Iceman doesn't like do something like Beast would do where like he uses his own powers to try and benefit himself. None of that shit happens. Just he just exists. And then also he happens to be gay. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's to me, I always thought it was one of those things where like, is this really like a really good thing for like the gay community, or did they just randomly say this guy's gay and then move on with it, right? Surely, like we were talking about with Mystique and with North Star, those are characters that kind of use their um sexuality as not okay. It's like a whole thing. Like Mystique being gay is a big part of it, but she has other traits to her as well. She's an interesting character. Do you know what I mean? Iceman doesn't have that. If you just look at him and go, "Oh, he's gay," like that's it. That's all there is. Do you know what I mean?
Well, so there's a couple more things to Iceman. Well, first off, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Iceman does show up outside of the comic books. He's played by Shawn Ashmore in the X-Men movies that Fox put out. He was in like 3 or 4 of those movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he also showed up in the kids show, the Marvel Superhero Squad. And I think he's a playable character in like Marvel versus Capcom and some other like video game stuff. So he does show up outside of the comic books. So that's kind of important to point out. The other thing that we can also talk about is Iceman is considered an Omega level mutant. So Omega level mutants are basically, for those who are uninitiated, these are like the most powerful mutant characters in the comic book continuity. So these are people whose very power can fuck shit up, basically. So here's like what there's the list that I'm looking at comes from comic book resources. There are 21 Omega level mutants. And Iceman comes in at number 17 of that.
However, for clarity, we should say that John also has a list from Wikipedia.
Yeah,
yes.
And mine was only 13 characters long.
So
I'm kind of intrigued, like, what other Omega level mutants are being counted by the CBR one?
But also,
right.
if Iceman was number 17 on Corey's list, what number?
Where'd he come on yours?
What number is Iceman on John's list?
There's no real numbers. This is just random like list. I think there's just alphabetical order they put it in.
Oh,
so
okay.
Yeah, there's no rhyme or reason to it other than that.
Okay.
So like, just to let people know, like other names on this that are Omega level mutants, you have Magneto, you have Storm, you have Jean Grey, Quentin Quire, Legion. The number 1 ranked mutant, like Omega level mutant, is Franklin Richards, Reed Richards' kid, who is a mutant, or was a mutant. I'm not sure if he's still considered one or not.
No, apparently he like used his powers to like change his DNA, so it made it look like he was. He did it unconsciously because he was such a big fan of mutants, but no, he isn't actually a mutant.
Well, that would make
wait.
Legion.
So what does that mean he is then?
It's a meta-human.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So
he's.
Oh boy. Well, okay, let's get into weird science. So he's the son of Reed Richards and Susan Storm, and they got their powers from cosmic radiation in space. So is he the product of cosmically radiated semen and egg?
I mean, I guess so. It's the only
That's the only way. That's the only way, right?
Think. Yeah.
So you're saying that the cosmic rays may have like mutated the semen and egg somehow?
Yeah.
And then the result might have been mutated
a kid
somehow?
who can alter reality.
Yeah. I mean, what else could it be?
I don't know, but this is the next episode of the podcast where we talk about Franklin Richards.
Yeah. So going back to Iceman, yes, he is considered a Omega level mutant because of the fact he can manipulate air molecules and make himself big, and he can control apparently water molecules, and he can create clones of himself that he can put consciousness into, and he can rebuild himself if he gets blown up or melted.
Clones, though. I don't understand how the clones work, because if they're made of ice doesn't move. Right. So how do these clones move about and do stuff?
Yeah. How does he put his consciousness into ice?
You know, when we were talking about Angel and we kept saying, like, what can they do to Angel to make him more interesting? I know, just give him a bunch more powers that may not make sense. I feel like there's a little at play here.
Yep.
I feel like, and we talked about this with Angel, when the original X-Men were created, it was a guy who could shoot lasers out of his eyes, a girl who can move stuff with her mind, a guy with wings, a guy with big hands and feet, and another guy who could freeze stuff. They didn't
would have
really
thought that the guy with the big hands and feet got the wrong end of the deal there, but apparently not.
No, they fixed that by making him blue and furry. So over the years after that, and you got some different writers and artists who were bringing their own interpretation to things and their own creativity, you started to get some mutants that could do a lot of like different and weird stuff, and all of a sudden those original 5 mutants are nowhere near as interesting. Like Jean Grey, like they give her telepathic powers, and then they also make her a host of the Phoenix. And Angel, they turn into Archangel, and Beast, they gave him blue fur, and Iceman, they're just like, oh, we'll just make him even better at making ice. More better ice is what we got.
Again, we're kind of the raw deal there, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think we also neglected to mention that he was in Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. He was one of the Amazing Friends. It was Spider-Man, Iceman, and Firestar.
So he's amazing.
Apparently.
We're sitting here laughing about this guy, but he's an amazing character.
So amazing, in fact, I pulled up from the Wikipedia page on Iceman. These are his accolades. I'm going to read these out because they are insane and they irritate me. In 2014, Entertainment Weekly ranked Iceman 27th in their Let's Rank Every X-Men member list. So there are
27th?
27 out of the hundreds and hundreds of X-Men characters. He's the 27th best one.
That's like being the 27th best NWO member. You're like, what?
Horace Hogan.
27.
In 2014, BuzzFeed ranked Iceman 17th in their 95 X-Men members ranked from worst to best. In 2016, SBS, whatever that is, included Iceman in their 10 queer superheroes who changed the face of comics list.
Could change the face of comics. I don't think Iceman has.
Who changed? Not who could. Who changed?
Oh, but what?
I guarantee you. Yeah. Well, I guarantee you it's just because of the fact that he is one of the original 5.
But he hasn't done anything to change anything, right? That's what we've been talking about this whole episode. He's just done nothing.
In 2018, CBR.com ranked Iceman 25th in their X-Men's Greatest Leaders list.
Leaders?
When has he led a team?
What?
I'm sure there have been some small teams that he's been a part of.
Are people just making shit up?
I told you this list irritated me. In 2018,
do you ever think that, like, if we ever made this is what we should do, right? We should make our own website, comic book website, right? And write articles, because you have to write an article every day, right? So we can just make shit up and nobody's gonna fucking say anything about it, right? Of course Iceman was the leader of the X-Men. Well, fucking why not, right?
In 2018, the Daily Dot ranked Iceman 7th in their top 12 LGBTQ superheroes in DC and Marvel Comics list. Okay, that one's fine. I got no issues with that.
Yeah, I can't really pick a hole with that one.
In 2018, CBR.com ranked Iceman 11th in their Age of Apocalypse, the 30 strongest characters in Marvel's coolest alternate world list. Did he have a character in Age of Apocalypse?
I know
he was just really spiky.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Wait, so none of us can really remember him in Age of Apocalypse, and he's fucking 11?
Yeah, out of 30.
What?
In 2019, In 2019, CBR.com ranked Iceman third in their 10 most powerful LGBT characters in comics list. Again, that's probably accurate. And ninth in their X-Men, all of Marvel's Omega level mutants ranked by power list. So in one CBR list of Omega level mutants, he came at 17, and this one he's ninth. What
I
the
bet it was written
fuck
by the same
happened there?
fucking guy too, right?
Jesus.
Whoa,
In 2019.
Oh, sorry. You keep going. Keep going with your list. But
Okay.
let's circle back to that Omega list, okay?
Okay. In
Okay.
2019, the BBC included Iceman in their 5 LGBTQ plus superheroes you need to know about. Okay.
They can only do 5?
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's your like broadcast channel. You tell me. Was the BBC like? Do they normally do more than 5?
They don't know dick about comics.
In 2019, Screen Rant ranked Iceman first in their 10 LGBTQA characters who should be introduced to the MCU list.
I don't think that's correct.
Yeah.
Right? We've already established that Iceman is bland as shit.
In 2020, Gay Times included Iceman in their 13 queer superheroes we need to see in the Marvel Cinematic Universe list. All right.
Included, but not ranked.
Yeah, they didn't rank. They did not rank. In
just
2021,
said, yeah, it'd be nice.
Yeah, we could do
Nice
in there.
to see this. Yeah, it'd be good.
In 2021, BuzzFeed ranked Iceman third in their 11 of the most important Marvel and DC LGBTQ plus superheroes list. So he came in third in 2 different lists. That's the consistency I'm looking for.
Let's not pay attention to what BuzzFeed have to say. All right.
In 2021, CBR.com ranked Iceman in their Marvel, the 10 strongest male X-Men list.
Wait, what number?
He's just in the top 10.
Whoa. Are we talking like all X-Men?
Yes,
so.
all male X-Men.
All male X-Men. Does that include like villains?
I don't know.
Because like, dude, even if it didn't include just the villains, the top 10?
Yeah.
Whoa. Dude,
I told you this list will make you. It irritated the shit out of me reading this.
At first I didn't believe you, and now I'm like, no, I'm irritated. What the fuck? Who wrote that? What? Can we? What?
In 2022, the Mary Sue ranked Iceman 9th in their 10 most powerful X-Men of all time list.
What?
In 2022, MovieWeb ranked Iceman 4th in their 8 LGBTQ plus Marvel Comics characters that need to be in the MCU list.
No.
I'm fine with that. If that's going to be how they want to categorize it, cool. Yeah. He should be.
Do you need to see him in there?
He came in 4th, which means there are 3 other characters ahead of him.
Well, yeah, right. I'd probably rather see those 3, right?
Yeah, right. I don't even know who they are.
But that means there were 4 other people that were like, we don't give a shit about them as much as Iceman.
No.
Could that be
in
true?
2022, In 2022, Digital Trends ranked Iceman 10th in their Marvel's Most Powerful Mutants list.
10th?
In 2022, CBR.com ranked Iceman 7th in their 10 most terrifying X-Men list.
Those guys again?
8th in their 10 X-Men characters fans want in the MCU list. Was there a poll?
Yeah.
Did we miss out on this poll of 10 X-Men characters fans want in the MCU list, and he came in 8th.
You guys did a poll and you didn't invite the Smark Avengers to vote?
Seriously.
That's bullshit. So go to CBR.com and write cement in all their comments.
9th in their 15 strongest Omega level X-Men list. So he's come in at 17, 9, and like what, 6 or whatever?
Yeah, there's a lot of like fudging the rules here, isn't there?
Yeah, they're not consistent.
Yeah.
No, something's not adding up.
Here's another one, Dylan. 10th in their 10 greatest X-Men list. Of all the X-Men.
What
10.
the fuck?
10th greatest X-Men ever.
Without even thinking about it, you could think of 10 greater X-Men than Iceman.
Yes. Yes.
Apparently this list was ranked by experience, whatever that means.
Well, then that means the first
was
5
just there
X-Men
the
are like
longest.
automatically on the list, right?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Wait, I also at Charles Xavier, so that's the first 6. And what number did
And
was
here's-
he? What number was he on the list?
Iceman.
Number 10.
He didn't even make the top 6 of the first 6 X-Men. What the fuck am I talking about?
And 10th in their X-Men 10 queer and awesome mutants list. So
Okay.
he keeps turning up in like really high numbers and the like greatest like LGBTQ characters that need to be in the MCU, but 10th in the top 10 queer mutant characters list. It's the weird lack of consistency that really bothers me about CBR.
Right.
And in
Well,
2022, Screen Rant included Iceman in their 10 most powerful X-Men list. That's the list.
Well, see, that's why I wanted to circle back to CBR, because there was a lot of like Omega level mutant talk right there.
Yeah.
And I'm very intrigued about that because he was like 17th one time and then he was like 10th or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, so let me do it
ninth.
quick. Yeah, so he went 10th, 9th. What was the other one? Because there was another list of Omega level characters. Yeah, 9th
17th,
twice.
wasn't he?
He was 17 on the first list that I saw, and then
Yeah.
he was 9 on 2 lists.
So,
But
like,
yeah,
that means there's a lot of people that CBR have ranked like worse than Iceman a bunch of times. Like, has somebody gone up and down on that list? You know what I mean? Iceman, and this is another thing we've covered. They did a lot of theorizing about how Iceman is an Omega level mutant, but they've never ever shown that properly in the comics. You can see, like, easily how Magneto or Storm or Jean Grey could be considered an Omega level mutant because of how they're portrayed in the comics. They have the ability to do that stuff, and sometimes they fucking do it. You know, Xavier, all these people, there are opportunities for them to do it and capitalize on that. And so you can say that Iceman has insecurities or whatever, blah blah blah. But at some point, he has to show off these Omega level mutant powers that he has to capitalize on those insecurities and also prove that he is an Omega level mutant. Otherwise, he isn't, right?
But to be fair, I think didn't he help out when the X-Men like basically terraformed Mars during the first Hellfire?
yeah. He
Gala?
basically added all the water.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a display of his power. It's not like, you know, something he busts out all the time, I guess.
But when that
boring.
when that happened, when that happened, was he considered an Omega level mutant then, or was that just?
Yeah, he's been an Omega level mutant for a long time.
And then what's he done?
I mean, he helped terraform Mars and make it livable.
We've all been there. We've all done that.
But no, I agree. That's what I'm saying, Dylan. That's what I said to John just a second ago. Like, it's boring, and it's not like he's not the main character in that. So that happened in what, X-Men Red? Was that the book that happened in, John, or was that in another book?
I can't remember.
Might have been
to be
the
honest.
standard X-Men. Might have been the standard X-Men book. But he wasn't like the main force behind it. He was just there. He's if you ever watch the opening credits of Gilligan's Island, they introduce some of the characters and then they go, and the rest. So like that's what Iceman is to me. He's like
Iceman
Cyclops. Yeah, exactly. Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Angel, and the rest.
Yes.
And that's what he feels like to me. Like that's like a huge character moment, and he wasn't the main character in it. He got like what, a couple pages? Because I thought Storm and Magneto played a bigger part in that.
Oh yeah,
and they're like 2 higher ranked Omega level mutants. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But that was what I was going to ask about that other list. Like, who was ranked less than Iceman?
Which list were you talking about? The Omega levels or the 10th most greatest, strongest X-Men?
Well, Omega levels at first. Yeah. Who's like worse than Iceman, Omega level wise?
10th most powerful X-Men, 10 most powerful X-Men of all time. Or actually, do you want the one list where he came in at 17, or do you want one that's one of the higher ones?
Yeah, let's do the 17 one.
All right. So Iceman came at number 17 on most powerful Omega level mutants. And these are the characters that came in after him. There's some real fucking winners ahead of him, too, I'll tell you. 18, Rachel Summers / Ascani / Phoenix / whatever.
Whoa. Just again, like straight off the bat, like wouldn't all of us say that Rachel Summers is like way more powerful than Iceman?
I'm not sure I would.
Really?
She's basically a poor man's Jean Grey.
Which is still more powerful than Iceman.
It's a different kind of power.
So here's one that gets me. Josh Foley / Elixir at 19. He can heal any issue, regenerate his own body, and he can also infect people with incurable diseases and such. He can heal you and he can kill you with a touch.
And that's less powerful than just being able to make rain or ice.
Number 20, Brian Morrison, who is a character from Grant Morrison's I think he was a Grant Morrison character. No, he's Mark Guggenheim from the X-Men Gold series. He woke up with incredible Mega Mutant level powers one morning, can generate and manipulate cosmic energy on a powerful scale. And number 21, I have no idea.
Is that the one they wrote out of existence?
Kitty Pryde was able to calm Brian Morrison down so he could return to his human form, though he was shot in the head by a bystander. So that's why he's number 20.
He was shot in the head.
Pride was able to get him medical attention and left him with an
shoot him in the
invite.
head. Like,
yeah, Pride was able to get him medical attention, and he left with a full invite to join the X-Men after he fully recovered. I don't know if he ever did.
He fully recovered.
Get shot in the head.
After being shot in the head. I guess he's a mega level mutant, so that's fair enough.
And the last one who came after him was number 20 was a character named Maddie, who showed up. Yeah, Maddie, who showed up in Deadpool versus Old Man Logan #1 by Declan Shalvey. Powerful teleportation abilities. While she had incredible range, anyone who teleported with her was almost killed instantly. So yeah, she could just teleport and just fuck shit up whenever she lands.
So basically, the people that were below Iceman weren't really that good either.
Yeah. So the characters above Iceman, and I won't go into full detail on them unless you need me to. 16, Kevin McTaggart / Proteus. 15, your boy, Gabriel Summers / Vulcan.
I didn't. No. Let's not establish this as him being my boy. All right? I don't want that. I don't want that on public record. Strike that. Cut that out of the podcast, okay?
Just accept it, Dylan. He's your boy now.
No. It'll never happen.
Number 14.
Listen, don't start putting comments on other people's videos to say that I like Vulcan, all right?
Number 14. Benet du Paris / Exodus.
That's my boy.
That's guys. Vulcan's your boy.
No. No. How did this happen?
Number 13, Strife.
Yeah, fair enough.
Number 12, Matthew Malloy.
Is that the guy they retconned out? I remember reading one of these lists, and there was some guy that they invented for one story and then just erased it from history.
Brian Michael Bendis.
Okay. This guy again?
Yes. Xavier, when he first used his mutant powers and he accidentally killed his parents, Xavier erased his memories and instilled psychic blocks. He killed most of them in a violent outburst of his powers when the X-Men made contact. Tempest went back in time with a past version of Xavier to keep his parents from meeting, thus erasing him from history.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew I read that somewhere.
Number 11, William Jamie Braddock / Monarch.
Okay.
10,
Again.
Absalon Mercator, Mr. M.
Mr. M. He was in District X.
Yeah.
He was really good.
No. Number 9, Hope Summers.
Okay. What exactly is Hope Summers' powers right now?
I think
she can copy and augment. Oh, go ahead,
yeah.
John.
Yeah. Well, exactly what you're saying. She can basically copy and augment the people's powers.
Okay, cool. Fair enough.
Number 8, Nate Gray / X-Man.
I mean, also fair enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Nick Ray is behind Cable?
Cable's not on this list, dog.
Yeah.
How can Strife and Nick Ray be on this list and Cable isn't on this list?
Because
of
Cable
the
has the techno-organic
yeah,
virus.
the techno-organic virus. He can't access his full powers.
Yeah.
But it means that technically he is an Omega level mutant, though, right?
He could be.
Well, not really, because he can't use it.
But if Iceman doesn't use his powers, but he still is, right?
I could be a world champion boxer, Dylan, if I hadn't got my arms amputated. Does that make me a world champion boxer?
Okay. Flip side, the guy that got erased from existence is okay, but Cable, who has proven time and time again to be more powerful than that guy, is not on the list.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Number 7. I don't quite understand this one. Great Ring of Araco.
Who? What?
Yeah.
What? Okay. The other ones you didn't need to explain. I might need a little bit of explanation for this one.
I will read the excerpt from this list because I read. Well, so here's the thing. It's Hickman created this one. So we all know Jonathan Hickman.
Yep.
Yep. So I'm going to read this, and it didn't make any sense to me after I finished reading it. After the X-Men formed their new mutant society on Krakoa, they discovered the ancient history of their new home. It was originally known as Akara before separating into 2 separate islands, Krakoa and Araco. A powerful group of Omega-level mutants ruled as the Great Ring of Araco, which mirrored the X-Men's Quiet Council on Krakoa. The Great Ring of Araco featured different sections that ruled at different times, with the exception of the Night Seats. All of the members of the Great Ring were Omega mutants. After the X of Swords tournament, Storm led a new Great Ring of Araco on Mars. Omega-level mutants from Araco like Lactuca, Xylo, and Subunar also joined Storm and Magneto on the Great Ring.
So you're saying that number, what number is that? 5?
That's 7.
The number 7th ranked Omega level mutant is a group of mutants.
Yes.
I'm, excuse me, I don't want to be Mr. Pedantic here, but I don't believe that counts.
Well, to make it worse,
can you say like
6,
number 5 of most Omega level mutants, the original X-Men? No,
well,
that's
just to
fucking
let you know,
bullshit.
John, Dylan and John, number 6, a member of the Great Ring of Araco, Magneto.
I mean, fair enough, right?
Yeah.
So, well, here's the thing. The way I look at it is this. I don't agree with it, but is it really any different from like Ric Flair getting inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame and then getting inducted a second time as a member of the Four Horsemen?
Was Magneto in this twice?
Yeah, because he's part of the Great Ring of Araco.
Yeah, but we've already established that that's bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It makes no sense. That's the only
That
way I can
doesn't
justify
count
it.
because that doesn't make any sense.
Number 5, another member of the Great Ring of Araco, Storm.
Stop with the Ring of Morocco thing. I refuse to believe this is legitimate anything.
Number 4, Jean Grey.
Fair enough.
Number 3, Quentin Quire.
I don't think Quentin Quire is more powerful than Jean Grey.
Yeah, apparently Quentin Quire is more intelligent and more psychically gifted than Jean Grey.
I think that's
because apparently he
bullshit.
can absorb information and he has a super genius mind on top of being a telepath.
I don't agree.
Because he has that Green Lantern kind of power where he can make constructs out of psychic energy.
Okay, well,
Number 2.
I respectfully disagree.
Number 2, David Haller / Legion.
I mean, I could see it, I guess, right? Would he be more
Yeah.
powerful than Jean Grey?
Yeah, man, he can alter reality.
He can alter reality. He broke reality and created the Age of Apocalypse, for God's sake.
He did do that. Yeah, you know what? Fair enough. But then Jamie Braddock breaks reality, right?
Yeah, and so does Proteus.
Yeah, but
as
Jamie
well.
Braddock is too insane.
Right. Proteus did a lot of weird shit. And he was way on the list.
Well, number one, we already talked about a little bit, which I guess we now have to revoke his status because they didn't want to put him on Krakoa. Franklin Richards / Powerhouse. So Franklin Richards has the same problem. Yeah, that's apparently his code name is Powerhouse.
Whoa!
Powerhouse.
Why did
Franklin
that not
Richards.
come up at some point?
I don't know. That must be his code name in the future when he's an adult.
Oh, maybe that is. Yeah, that makes sense, man. Now, Franklin Richards been number one, I get, because, whenever I grew up reading the Onslaught storyline, and Franklin Richards created his own pocket universe where he sent all of the superheroes to. That's pretty big. If Iceman could do that, I'd be like, fair enough, right? Pretty big. So I'm like, that's fair. But then, wait, did Xavier not make this list at all?
Nope.
No.
Is that not weird to you guys?
Xavier's not considered a mega level mutant.
But he is, though, right?
I don't think he is.
No, because I guess he uses Cerebro to boost his mutant power.
But
so
do you guys really not think that Professor X is more of an Omega mutant than, I don't know, just picking a name out of the air randomly, Iceman?
No.
Really?
So I tried to go to the link for the 10 most powerful X-Men of all time, where he came in at number 10, just to see who the fuck came ahead of him. And the link is broken on the Mary Sue. So
because they know they fucked up.
I'll be honest with you. I think if you separated this episode into sections, there's the section where we talk about other people that aren't Iceman, and then the section where we talk about how he's so fucking boring.
Can I just say something real quick, right? First of all, I don't really have a problem with Iceman at all. But the second of all, I had way more fun not talking about Iceman than I did talking about Iceman.
Yeah.
See, I had a feeling that would happen.
What does that tell you, people?
It means that we finally got the Iceman episode out of the way, and when we go into our next X-Men character, it'll be someone a little more interesting.
I think the real crux of it is that I think we should really focus on is that the problem with Iceman is that just every step of the way, from the beginning to right now, the way he's been written is as a very non-consequential character.
Yes.
Gay or not, doesn't matter. The fact is, he's just not an interesting X-Men character. There are so many other really interesting, important X-Men characters that you would put ahead of him that you would want to read solo books about.
Yeah.
You wouldn't really want to read a solo Iceman book, because what is the story?
They tried twice. They tried twice.
But what's it about? What's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just nothing to him. There's no reason to pay attention to Iceman. It's fun that he's like we said before, he's a fun, jokey character, but also, what else? What's the deal with Iceman? That's what we all want to know. What's the deal with Iceman?
And the fact that he's so well rated in all of those polls, I'm just so fucking befuddled by.
It is weird. Yeah, it's very strange.
Well, I think that'll do us for now. As a reminder, we're going to be putting out more content on the YouTube channel if you've not already checked that out now. We've got a nice little rhythm going so far. And, check us out. Comment Cement or Marriage on one of Markiplier's videos, or all of them.
Yes.
If you can.
Not just Markiplier. Go to Limp Bizkit videos and just write Cement or Marriage.
That was a choice. In case you're wanting to relive the year 2001.
You can cut this out, but that was in one of my Animal Crossing videos, where instead of saying subscribe to my channel or comment on my, people always say comment on my whatever. On one of my videos, in my Animal Crossing videos, I was just like, fuck it, don't comment on my video. Go to Limp Bizkit's video and talk about my Animal Crossing video on their comments, just because that would be so fucking weird, wouldn't it? You go to see fucking Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and one of the comments is I really like Tom Nook in this episode.
No, I'm keeping that in.
That's so much funnier though, isn't it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's such a brilliant comment.
Go to the go to the trailer for Craven the Hunter and just say that you really like Tom Nook in this one.
No, go to Morbius.
Yeah, go to one of those brilliant think pieces on Morbius.
Yeah. Go to one of those YouTubers that's like really deep dive into dissecting Morbius. This is why Morbius is a really underrated classic. And this is right, cement.
And you'll know that you'll know you're on the right one when there's the thumbnail features a PNG cutout of them in front of like the Morbius poster making an absurd face.
They're doing a shocked face, like, oh, and then it's like, is Morbius as bad as people say?
Morbius, underrated classic. Better than Madam Web. All right, folks, we're getting out of here. See you later.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.